Welcome to the shop. I'm Jared, and this is the Questionable Garage, and we're going to run a little bit different format for these next couple episodes. You know, like a handheld intro versus our standing intro. Well, the reason is I've got a lot of project cars, and I'm way behind. I need to get some things done. So what are we going to get started on today? Well, you can see it behind us. It is our Tesla Del S P100D. Now, if you're not familiar with what this car is, a viewer reached out to my friend Robert Dunn, Aging Wheels, and offered him this Tesla for free.
So the reason he's giving it away is because his health has deteriorated and he just wants it gone now. He bought this with the intention to rebuild it, and he doesn't want it to anymore. That's pretty much it. Robert
took a road trip out to look at it and realized he couldn't get the thing pulled up on a trailer, so he reached out to me and said, Jared, do you want a free Tesla?
Is that where the engine goes?
No.
Oh, there's a motor.
Yeah, there's one motor and there's another motor. It is a 2017 Tesla Model S P100D with the ludicrous upgrade.
With the ludicrous upgrade?
Yes.
So I was up in Indiana very quickly with my trailer. We loaded this thing up with some 6x6s, my winch, and some dish soap, and got it out of the gentleman's garage and freed up the space for him. Now, don't worry. I don't plan to rebuild this car. I don't do body work. I might eventually do some crash repair stuff if I see a car I want enough. But our Tesla here has several things that I am very interested in. This is a dual motor Tesla, and it has pretty much the biggest and best battery pack that you can get in a Tesla. So, that is what we're going to do today. We're going to harvest the organs out of this Tesla. We're going to get it up. We're going to pull the battery pack, we are going to break down the battery pack to individual modules, and drop the front and rear drive motor units out of the car. Now, then, the body is going to go on and do something fun. Friend Sean at Sweaty Speed Shop was like, hey, I've got a really cool idea to do something with the shell of the car, so I'm going to send it off to him. So, we're going to figure out together how to not get electrocuted, and then send the body off to do something really cool. So, we'll set up some GoPros and let's talk through this process as we tear apart this Tesla so I can get it out of the yard and clean up some space. All right, so if you've not been underneath a Tesla, this is your main battery pack. It's got a whole lot of armor in it, and that's why, if you remember when we were loading it, we actually had our boards here, and you can see a couple remnants of it. This is designed to take impacts from whatever you may run across the road and survive. So it's very robust. One thing I'll need to try to figure out is I know pretty much all of our center bolts have to come out first because obviously you'll then be setting it on a tray. And then there's perimeter bolts, I think, that live up in here. So you undo your center bolts, then you undo these, and then you can lower your battery pack out. There's a little bit more of our wood left behind. Now, one thing, I don't know who made these, but they were given to us with the Tesla. Really nice plugs to go in and make it easier to lift this thing by far. We can clearly tell why this Tesla crashed. Doesn't matter if you're driving in the winter on your winter tires, if they look like that. You know, if your tires start to look like that, you're tight on money, just park the car. Because I promise you, crashing it's a whole lot more expensive. Good news is it does have a battery pack, because a lot of Teslas through the salvage yards end up sitting really high on their suspension because someone's stolen the battery packs out of them. So if you're buying a used salvage Tesla and it looks like it's riding unnaturally high, you maybe should avoid it. So sockets come out, let's get to work. I'll title this one, Idiot's Guide to Removing a Tesla Battery Pack, because I'm an idiot. yes, I know there are really cool pliers for this, and I've had several pliers. I just don't know where any are right now. So what have you guys been doing lately? Automotive adventure. Have you had any fun? 40 years ago, those of you who are into Cannonball, the last kind of quote-unquote official of the old guard ran in what was called the U.S. Express. So, this being the 40th anniversary, and we ran a Cannonball. There were 20 cars that started. I think like 13 managed to make it across the country, one of them on a tow truck. We did 6th overall in a bone stock car, no fuel cell, nothing. 83 Toyota Supra. We were on the side of the road for about 2 different times for about an hour. Had fuel pump overheating problems. Had a whole lot of fun. Stopped by SEMA a couple days, saw old friends, made new friends. And then a group of us set off to drive Route 66, which was phenomenal. I've driven some parts of it. It's something, if you're into cars, you have to experience it. But get out and see the country. Well, quick update. I thought I'd have to go get some sockets, and it turns out I don't. The battery bolts are E12s, and for whatever reason in my Matco set, the E10 socket is a lot thicker than the E12. No idea why they built them that way, but we were able to go ahead and pull all of our center batteries, bolts. If you're doing this at home, it is the ones that are kind of these pass-through studs. You do need to remove these and this before setting it on the table. And then in the back, you've got one here and one here. Now, this is not a how-to. I'm not telling you how to remove a battery pack because I'm not an expert at it. I'm literally just removing bolts until it falls out. So, thankfully now, Teslas have been out a very long time. There's lots of people smarter than me who've worked on them, and I could reference their stuff, but instead, we're going to poke at it and see what we end up with. So, we'll get this battery pack hopefully drop soon. Again, you do all of your center bolts, set it and support it on a table, and then you do your perimeter bolts when you're not underneath it. Do not remove any of the perimeter bolts while you're underneath it, or else you may become a pancake. Pancakes are not fun. Actually, you probably wouldn't be a pancake, you'd be a crepe. The really, really, really thin pancake. We got all our lower bolts out, or the middle bolts out. So now it's on to supporting battery, and I think it's 16 total perimeter bolts. I'm gonna get a little closer. The back, like 1 foot, is wires and like brain stuff. So when you're calculating kind of your center mass of the battery, you shouldn't factor too much weight back there. It's pretty much all through here. So maybe line up on those bolts roughly. Yeah, there we go. All right. Remember, they specifically say don't use an impact. So we are of course using an impact. All right, you guys, let me just keep kicking you. When we go to lift up, I need to tell you guys over here to tell me how it's going. Yeah, close your eyes, guys. Last bolt out from under it, just in case. Okay. How's it look, guys? I think at some point I need to disconnect. Oh, okay. So I'll just quick connect there. Oh, the coolant line's in the front. Whoops. Well, they're not coolant lines anymore, I don't think. All right, what do we need to figure out up here? I don't even see. Are they like quick connect coolant hoses? That's a big battery pack. Holy cow. Well, that's okay. Credit where credit is due. The quick connect style coolant hoses and then just the rapid plugins back there. That's clever. I like it. So it really is just unbolt it and lift it. Yeah, the pins drop in, line it up, and away you go. The future. Actually, I hope that this isn't our only option in the future. We all kind of have to use all of this tech at our disposal. The hybrid stuff, the electric car stuff, responsible fossil fuels. Well, let's slide it out into the light and pull the lid on it, and then we'll drop some subframes out, and then we'll have 2 motor units, and the Tesla is ready to get out of here.
I have no clue if this is right or wrong, but you can't get the lid off with bolts on it, right? Uncovering, so we're going to find out together. Now you may ask, why am I making sure to grab all the fasteners once they're off? Especially before we start trying to pry anything. Do not want to risk one of these somehow falling into the case and arcing anything. Come on. Let go. Let go. All the way. Let go. Oh, is that actually a module up here too? That does appear to be a battery module. You know what that means? We're gonna pull one more lid off And then we're gonna do a not questionable thing. We are gonna basically hit pause until I can get proper gloves once I pull this lid off. You can see all of the individual cells then bridge together that then make up one module. Here's your coolant paths, has your in and out bus bars. We'll see a lot more of that soon. Ooh. Who knew you got musical instruments too? I'm always impressed by the people that can like actually play these like a musical instrument. I just make noise. Now some of you still may be wondering, Jared, what are you doing needing Tesla batteries and motors? Truth is, I don't need the motors. Those I can just sell. But I do need all of this lithium battery module packs here. I'm not an electric car guy, you know, I'm not super excited by them normally. But I am a weird car guy. I like unusual things. And if you kind of follow some of the other social media that I post to occasionally, I came across one of the rarest of rare electric vehicles. And its battery pack was dead. And pricing out to restore and build a similar battery pack was astronomical. I mean, when I say astronomical, it was just a stupid number. It wasn't worth it. So then I thought about just hot rodding it, putting in the Tesla motors, but then I end up ruining a piece of history, which I'm not against. I will cut up, modify rare edition trucks and cars. Rare doesn't always mean valuable, and rare doesn't always have to be preserved. Like if we look at the old International pickup, one of 463. A lot of people got upset about that. But it also was for sale for 2 years, more than 2 years, and no one else showed any interest in buying it. So anyone could have bought it and restored it. Instead, we made a hot rod truck, which I like a lot more. Oh. But this particular vehicle, I actually stopped and said, you know what? The historical significance of this vehicle deserves preserving. But I didn't want to just build it back with a lead acid battery pack and like 50 miles of range. So we're kind of hot rodding while preserving. Calculated range is going to be, should be, I think we were guessing over 250 miles with capability of, you know, plugging into modern chargers, which to me is kind of like preserving and hot rodding, right? We're not removing the essence of it. We're just making it so you could drive to Cars and Coffee and get home. We have the battery pack split now. We can see all of the parts we are trying to harvest, and that is these battery modules. There are 16 of them in the Tesla battery pack. 2 are stacked here, and, you know, 2 rows of 7, right? Yeah, 7. But I do not want to take it apart any further until I get proper gloves. You disconnect all of your coolant lines, and then you would disconnect your bus bars in the middle, and this is kind of getting to the point
that it's proper dangerous, that we're not going to just cowboy yeehaw it, and I am going to get some insulated gloves. So we'll pick those up tonight, and we'll finish tearing it down tomorrow. I'm going to take a quick breather, because believe it or not, this thing's heavy, and we might try to rip both our motors out so we can be done with the Tesla, send it off for good, and not have it around anymore. Now you may ask, Jared, what are you doing with the front and rear motors? They're for sale. If you'd like to buy them, send a message. If I still have them, I'll let you know a price. I am not planning to swap them into anything. It's just they're valuable, and what my friend is doing with the car, he doesn't need them. So the battery pack is what I'm most interested in. And yeah, before the end of the episode, I'm going to show you, or at least tease you just a little bit, why we need a battery pack.
What is so special? What is so significant that we need it? So we'll get some special gloves, rip all these modules out, all these plugs. There's aftermarket units that will plug right into these battery modules to let the chargers know what they need to do to balance. We're actually going to have to rebalance these. The car was crashed
and was kept in and, basically kept stable, but for some reason something dropped too low and I wasn't able to get it charging again. So we're going to have to do some fun stuff to get the batteries recharged, get them stable, build out a pack, and that's where we're going to be actually having some guests come in that are a little more familiar with this craziness. I have got a bunch of foam battery modules for when it comes time for packing that, but none of that matters right now. So you're going to find out if I decided to pull the battery packs or the motors today, or if we're taking the rest of the day and then getting gloves to tear apart the battery pack. That's the next scene. I have no clue what it's going to be, so let's find out now.
First thing to removing the modules is unplugging all of the data boards. These boards send back things like voltage and temperature, so that way the battery control modules can make sure everything is balanced and charged correctly. Once everything's unplugged, it's time to start unbolting the high voltage lugs. Now the battery pack is in a relative safe state, but you still need to take care, and ideally you want high insulated gloves. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any locally for my big hands, so I'm using 2 layers of latex gloves and a heavy-duty leather glove for anything that's going to make direct contact with a potential high voltage connection. I must stress, this is the wrong way. I should have insulated sockets, insulated pliers, and much heavier duty insulated gloves. Don't do this. Really, you shouldn't do this. And with all the high voltage leads disconnected, I am starting to remove the last of the module stays that keep them bolted down inside the battery pack. And with all of that out, it is time to lift these battery packs out. Very carefully, I'm lifting them by their mounting tabs just enough to get a hand underneath and sliding it out and backwards. Be cautious, these are very heavy modules, and still you're working with potential high voltage components. You do not want to short or arc out. Use insulated tools. Don't do what I'm doing. Now the 2 modules in the very front of the pack that are stacked on top of each other are kind of a pain. If I knew what I was doing, maybe it would be a little bit easier. I don't know what I'm doing, so I am just fighting and removing things carefully until I can finally free the battery pack.
It's the end. We got done what we needed to get done. There's still a front drive unit in it, but we'll get that out later. When Sean comes to grab it, I'll let him yank it out real quick because we finally removed our rear drive unit. This is a sport unit, which is a pretty valuable piece. Anything I said nice about Tesla and the way they built their cars for the battery pack, they promptly fixed with their suspension by having bolts coming out and just everything everywhere trapped. I actually remember somewhere in the front suspension also, you have to remove the battery pack to remove a suspension bolt. Not very smart, but also sitting over here, all of our battery modules. We're gonna have to check and figure out. I don't know that that's a good sign, a little bit of leaking. I'll refer to people smarter than me. Hopefully they're all good, because again, the main point of the Tesla is getting the battery pack. That's what I needed most out of it, to be able to repackage and put into something really, really cool. Yeah, I could do a little bit more wrenching, but this is 2 days. I'm trying to do rapid fire videos. I've got to get the BMW in here to get it ready for a drift event. Then we got to get some work done on Earl. There's just a ton going on. We've got what we need to out of the Tesla, so it's out of here. That's the other thing, just trying to clean up all the junk in the yard. Also, it's my birthday, and I'm dealing with food poisoning and kind of want to go try to celebrate turning 40. You can't do much when you're sick, but, you know, we'll have some fun. So, we're not going to do a normal outro because we're going to end with just a real quick little teaser of something incredibly rare, incredibly special. Comment below if you know what it is.